this video I'm going to do a tool review. I haven't done one for quite a while because I've forgotten, but today I'm going to do two. I'm going to do a little bit about this pop rivet gun and also about the caulking gun I've got. Now, you know, these things, well, the pop rivet gun was a little bit expensive, but it's worth it. Let me show you. My original pop rivet gun was this thing. As you can see, it leaks and it's made in the States and it's heavy. It's all aluminium and honestly it's a very heavy piece of kit. I put an extended airline on so it was a bit more flexible, but the downside of this type, and this is a proper pop rivet gun, this is a genuine article. I got it second hand, but it kicks like a mule. It really does kick, and it's unreliable. You're forever repairing it or cleaning it. And how these work is you have a sort of a linkage inside here, and there's oil. It's hydraulic, so this is why there's a big chamber here. So when you put the air in and you pull the trigger, it pulls it down, and hydraulic pressure, by some strange magic, snaps back the lever in here that pulls the rivet back. I'm not going to take one to bits because the video will go on for ages, but this is okay but heavy. But like I say, it snaps back and unreliable too. This little thing is half the weight. It's poly, put the kettle on I think, well it's plastic, and this bit's aluminium and it's light. I bought this off Amazon. Now it was kind of expensive. It was 136 Canadian dollars. It was about £70 or something like that, I don't know. But I was a bit skeptical, so I bought it and I thought, well, I'll try it out, and if I don't like it I'll send it back. Now one thing you notice straight away, there's no rivet collection at the back, and I found out it doesn't need one, because you'll see a video I'll put up at the top when I'm putting the side windows in. There's no kickback. It doesn't kick back at all. This thing here, well, it was like firing a machine gun or shotgun. This is really, really nice to use. It's got the similar sort of mechanism. They all work the same. Little trigger, air, hydraulic. You put your hydraulic oil in here and pulls it back. Why did I buy this one? Well, it was for the pulling capacity. When I was doing my research on Amazon, I couldn't really find out much on the cheaper ones what the specs were, and going through the reviews, people said that the cheaper ones were nowhere near what they were saying. Now this runs on different air pressures. For example, if you were using it at 85 psi, the tension, the pulling tension would be 1962 foot-pounds. If you were running it on 113 psi, it's 2601 foot-pounds of pulling pressure, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's do that in metric. So it's 6 kilograms force per centimetre would equal to 890 kilograms, and at 8 kilograms force per centimetre the rating is 1180 kilogram force. That's over a ton. That's impressive for a little plastic gun like this. It takes all the rivets that we need, 3/16, 5/32s, 1/8 and 3/32s. It comes with a variety of tips and tools, comes with it. You just unscrew this, put another tip in, and away you go. You don't have to change anything in the body. That's good. Alright. And the only downside, there was two downsides I didn't like. First of all, these Chinese things always come with an air fitting that you don't have. They're a really weird fitting, so I just put a regular M-type fitting on there and plugged my gun on. Nice thing is it's on a swivel, so you don't really have to have a little lead, a fly lead coming off. Instructions are all in Chinese, so they go straight in the bin, but it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's quiet too. You can see down here, this is the little exhaust port, so when it's exhausting. So it's a tool you can literally use all day, and as I explained in my video, I'll take a rivet out of this pocket, put it in, bang, take the tang out, put it in this pocket, so you don't have tangs everywhere. Okay, a bit inconvenient, but it works well. So I think what I'll do is I'll show you a demonstration of what this can actually do, and then I'll use my hand riveter. It doesn't rivet hands, by the way, it's just using only hands by hand, and we'll set some bits and pieces up in the vise, some bits of metal, and I'll show you the difference. Before we start our little experiment, I forgot to mention the weight. So I brought my kitchen scales down, and that weighs 1,177 grams. This one comes in at 1,737. So it felt almost twice as much, but it's like half as much again. So that's that thing out the way. So now let's have a look at what I've got set up here for you. I've just got a piece of bent aluminium, and I'm going to put some pop rivets in. So first of all, I'll describe my old hand pop riveter. This is an all aluminium construction. It's been very good. It's made by Stan Ellie, whoever he is, and it comes with a nice provision of putting the other attachments on for different size rivets, which is a thing that's sadly lacking in this. They could have put a little bracket on somewhere, and also the other pop rivet thing. So but it's hard work. Now I've had those pressed steel ones before, the cheap, really cheap ones, and when you're putting steel rivets in, they bend. Honestly, they will bend. So I got this one for you know, doing aluminium rivets. Now there's an interesting thing for you too. These two rivets are both 3/16. One is slightly longer than the other, but that doesn't matter. These are the rivets that I provide with my clutch kits and the clutch arm, or clutch fork, whatever you want to call it. But they're both 3/16, and 3/16 is actually 4.8 millimeters, but of course that's what it's all rounded up to, and it's still 3/16, if you see what I mean. What's the difference between the two? This one is all steel, this one is all aluminium. What it means by that is that the shank is aluminium and the actual rivet itself is aluminium, and same with this one. It's a steel head, it's a steel rivet with a steel nail. Now, putting these in all day is exhausting. It really is. You need to have a lie down. But these are quite good. Now, I use a lot of these in the construction of Land Rovers, simply because if you were to use, let me go back a bit. I use these principally in Land Rovers, the aluminium and aluminium. You can get steel shank with aluminium heads, aluminium rivets, and those pull down exceptionally tight. I use those on the side windows, you'll see in another video. But when I'm doing body work on the outside of the vehicle, you know, putting your corner protectors on and things like this, if you were to use an aluminium steel rivet, so aluminium rivet itself and a steel pin, what can happen is when the nail snaps off or the pin snaps off, you'll have a bit of unprotected steel inside, and what it has a tendency to do is get water inside. And the funniest thing is when you spray in a car, you can't get paint into the inner recesses of that rivet, but water can get in, it soaks in and it gets everywhere, and it'll lead to rust bleeds. So aluminium is always on the outside body of a car for me. Now you can get, the Land Rover actually use what's called a closed-headed rivet. I've had a box here and they're kind of difficult to get hold of, but they are expensive. So I just use these and they've been great. So that's that, I think. I probably missed something out. So let's fire off straight away. A aluminium rivet. Now I've got a little magnet on here, so I've put all the steel ones on there so I know which is which. So this is an aluminium pop rivet. There we go. and you can see a couple of clinches, fires off nice, and you can probably just to say see here the depth that the nail or the tang or shaft has snapped off. It looks quite nice. But now we'll try a steel rivet on the same piece, and bloody hell. That went that was hard. I wasn't exaggerating. That is really hard on your hands because these grips are just a wee bit narrow, even though they've got rubber on them. So let me get the airline out. We'll do the pneumatic. I'm just going to use regular shop air. Nothing fancy. We'll do the aluminium rivet first, and you can see there's no kickback at all. Let's do the steel one. A child could do it. We could have forced labour children working all over the place. It is so easy to use, and I'll do another hole, and we'll show you again how easy it is. And you'll see there's no kickback at all. I'll zoom in a bit. Now let's get this right. You can see there's no kickback. It just laughs at rivets, and that's what you really want when you're doing a lot of pop rivet work. So, expensive but a good investment. Sometimes, you know, when you're using tools like this on Land Rovers, well, not all the time, but quite a bit of the time, you do want to pay that little bit extra and get something a bit better quality. So, next tool is the compressed air caulking gun. Let me show you this. This is going to be just a quickie, but I'll tell you a couple of facts about it. This is made by Campbell Housefield, but it isn't really. They just put a CH sticker on it and it becomes a Campbell Housefield. There is a major design problem with these, and that is the trigger. Now, I bought this gun because I had to caulk up all the joints in my fascia boards outside, stop the water getting in, and believe me, there was an awful lot of caulking going on. I think I had about 40 tubes of caulking to put in, so I bought this, and it was only about, I don't know, about $20 or something like that. It's really cheap, and it's so simple it's stupid. It's just a tube, you know, your regular caulking material, silicone, whatever you want to put in, and a tube with a piston at the bottom that pushes here. It is vitally important to use these with an air reducer. Pressure, you've got to get the pressure down to about 10 pounds. Unlike my mate Chris, who put this up to 100 psi line and emptied the cartridge in about 2 seconds. It just went everywhere. What is the design fault? So it's quite simple, it's quite robust, you don't have to oil it. What's the design fault? Well, like I say, the trigger. You can probably see here that I've ground off the bottom of this trigger because it used to come round like this. Wow, it was, when you're holding the pistol like this, it used to bite into your hands. It was a terrible design. So I just got the buffer on the grinder and I just buffed it round, and now you can use it all day long. It's really good. But it makes a nice continuous bead of silicone. And again, Land Rovers, that's all we ever sort of do. You can get now caulking guns that are battery operated. Little bit expensive for what I do, and generally speaking for me in my shop, I always have compressed air, you know. An electric one is alright if you're out on site, but this for me works perfectly. And as you'll see in the, if you've seen in the link at the top, that when you're doing caulking on a Land Rover, you can get a really nice, smooth, professional type beading, and you know, it looks nice. Sometimes people put too much caulking on, but this is nice. So you just need a very small tip and just progressively work slow. And if you want a bit more product to come out, just tweak up the air a bit. I thought I had my regulator here, but I haven't. So good little thing to have around. And like I say, you don't need a big massive compressor to run it off. That's a good thing. So you get some nice results. Before I go, I just thought I'd show you what I was rambling on about, the rivets. If you can see here. This is the steel rivet here. So we've got aluminium, steel, steel. And you can see where they've pulled in quite tight. But you'll notice, hopefully you can see, I'm not very sort of good at doing this camera. Let me turn it down to a reasonable height. You can see inside here, I'll move it at various angles so you can see inside, that where the rivet snapped off, well, where the nail snapped off or shaft snapped off. And it's, you know, about 2 millimeters down inside. So painting that is extremely difficult. So that's why we use aluminium rivets. The steel one, well, it doesn't really matter because I've used those on my clutch fork, and but they do set down about a millimeter below the surface. As for water, you know, like for letting water through, I haven't really had that much of a problem with them. They're quite good nowadays. They're not to make watertight seals, but they're not too bad altogether. So, you know, if you really want to spend a little bit of good money and buy a good tool. Now, I'm not any way associated with them, these people. And if you want to look on it on Amazon, it was called an S50. Could have been a bit more elaborate. But again, no marks. Don't know, nothing. Can you get parts from them? I don't know. Probably if you contact the manufacturer, they'll you know, sell parts. But no, it's a nice little thing. So there's a couple of things you might consider when you're doing your Land Rover. If you're going to do Land Rovers quite a lot, a couple of little tools there might be helpful. So, making them better. You know the score, you know what we are saying now. Making Land Rovers better. But sometimes paying the little bit extra is well worth it. Alright, so we'll talk to you later.